Hello everyone. We're back. It's been a while. I feel like it's been a while. It's been about 2 weeks, right?
No, it's been a week and a half.
Week and a half. It's been a week and a half.
Our fault.
Our fault. And we have a lineup for the night. So, at first, we are going to talk about Valentine's Day. After that, we're going to talk about Amsterdam, everything we experienced there. Our Dutch friend, Willemijn, we went to her hometown in Enschede this weekend and saw some great stuff. And then we're actually going to talk about sorority and fraternity differences because they have them over here. They are just a tad different. Okay, so Valentine's Day, we went to Willemijn's house, which is a second-story house in the middle of Utrecht. And it's in between a Pearl Vision store and a Vans shoe store. Just right on the canal. It's great stuff.
Did they know who Willemijn is?
Oh, well, she studied abroad in Stillwater this past semester. I had marketing with her. So did Sam Marshall and other people.
I wasn't in the class.
He wasn't in the class. So yeah,
she's
great
cool,
stuff. She is cool gal. Had us over for dinner for Valentine's Day, no pun intended. And that wasn't a pun. That wasn't a pun. Maybe we'll delete that. Maybe not. And yeah, it was great. It was a typical Dutch meal. It was like a oversized hot dog and mashed potatoes with bacon and a strange salad type vegetable that we don't have in the States, I don't think.
It was like cabbage, kind of.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like seaweed. It was kind of slimy.
Yeah, it was great.
And long like strips of. Yeah, it was Dutch.
It was good.
That's for sure.
Typical Dutch.
Pretty good. Oh, and Heineken. They have what?
They have a beer fridge.
They do have a beer fridge. And they also have the beer man comes to them.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah.
So they order their beer. I don't know if they like call it in or like online or whatever, but they order it by the case, and there's 24 in a case, and the beer man comes by their little alleyway in the middle of Vans and whatever the heck the other store was.
Yeah, probably.
And drops the Heineken off at their house, and then takes all their old bottles and.
Like pizza delivery except for beer.
They started talking about sorority and fraternity life because we were eating with Willemijn and 4 of her sorority sisters, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
And then one of her friends that's in the fraternity.
And they all live together.
Yeah, they live in this, I don't know what you call it.
Flat?
Yeah,
house?
Maybe a flat. It had 2 stories and there were 16 of them that lived in the place. So we ate with like 6 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
But their sororities and fraternities are basically just party places, kind of.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Sorry.
What? No, you go for it.
They call the sorority the club, and the club. That's like their like Kairodao. It's like their thing that they do.
Yeah.
So they call the sorority the club, and they call the fraternity the Kook. Vol.
That's like Bravo.
Bravo.
That's like they're like, oh, that's cool, man.
Oh, cool. Vol. It's super cool.
It's really funny.
So
and they all wear all the guys wear Nike Air Max tennis shoes.
Gosh.
That's like we laughed really hard about
Sperry's.
it because we were like, oh, you guys all wear the same stuff, but then we're like, oh, we all wear Sperry's. So I guess it's kind of the same thing. We just don't wear Nike tennis shoes. But that's the cool thing to wear over there. So. And their parties don't start till 2 in the morning usually, and then they go till 7, and then they have school the next day. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah,
we usually shut it down by 2. That was on Thursday, and then on Saturday morning we went to Amsterdam for the first time.
So we went to the Van Gogh Museum. Really great. Lots of good art. Saw the famous yellow sunflowers painting. Unfortunately, Starry Night, which was the one Brian and I really wanted to see.
It's the only reason I wanted to go to the
It's in the Museum of Modern Art in New York, which was sad.
But it was still fun. And then at night, it was probably not like super late. It was probably like 8 p.m. or so. We went to the red light district, which is like probably what Amsterdam and like the Netherlands is most famous for. or most well known, I guess.
Mhm.
And that was a pretty crazy place.
Yeah, it was really strange.
And it hadn't even really gotten like started that much because it was still 8 p.m. So there were still like a lot of tourists and stuff because I guess it really doesn't like turn into the red light district until midnight, and that's when it gets
super late.
yeah, that's when it gets kind of dangerous and stuff. But when we were walking around, it was everything that you could imagine it being.
Yeah.
Not in a good one. Not in like it was everything you can imagine. It was exactly the way you pictured, I guess, is that what you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of like shows that obviously were not just like your typical Broadway show or whatever,
Yeah.
and then lots of windows with girls in them.
It wasn't.
Lots
Did
of
not enjoy it.
lots of stories. I enjoyed seeing it. I thought it was really like I'm glad that we went just to get a better idea of
See what it
what it
was,
actually is. But probably not one of those places that we go back to. Tell them about what we did this past weekend.
Yeah. So the same girl, Willamine, she invited us to her hometown in Enschede. 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 And yeah, it was good. It was a good trip. An hour and a half by train, and small town, very small town.
The theme of the weekend was typical Dutch.
Typical Dutch.
They were trying to like immerse us into a Dutch culture, like
Yeah.
food and language and everything like that.
Tea, wine, cheeses, everything. Yeah, so we got there. Their family is super vibrant, super
So nice.
lots of energy. You had Joost and Jeltje, where's the mother and father, and then you had Willamine is the oldest daughter, and then there's the second oldest was Barber. And
I don't even know if that's a name. We never found
Berber.
out what her real name was.
Berber. You just kind of say two
You
words.
just said Berber.
And the youngest was Bobine.
Bobine.
Yeah, and it was great. Very hospitable family.
Her dad took us around to 3 castles. Around 2 of them were in the Netherlands, and the first 2 castles were more like large estates,
Mhm.
kind of. They weren't really like castles, what you picture. Like I'm reading Game of Thrones right now,
Oh yeah.
and so I'm reading about all these castles, and I actually just finished the first book, but they weren't like the castles that I pictured like that, like Middle Ages or medieval castles. But then we got to the third one.
In Germany. Oh,
That was a freaking
it was
castle.
a castle. Amazing.
You drive up on it, like he took us around the backside because it's built up on a rock in a little village. So it's at the highest point of the entire village. You drive up on the backside and you see just this massive castle that was
insane.
yeah, all stone. It still had the flags from the the Marquette
Yeah.
who owns it or who
Yeah,
lived
what
there or
property it
whatever.
was.
So it had the flags flying from the top. It had like the walkway around the edges that were for like defense purposes that you could shoot off of. It had
cannon.
It had the cannon. It had like the huge iron doors and the iron gate that you could drop down with the big arched stone entryway.
Like the watchtower.
Mm-hmm. It was, especially with reading Game of Thrones, it was like the coolest thing we've ever seen.
It was a great view.
And once you were up on the top, you got to look down over the hills or like the countryside with all the little German homes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely beautiful. It was one of my favorite things I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
And then Dutch food for dinner. It was what was it? What was it called? Oh,
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. It was okay. It was okay. But
Typical Dutch.
typical Dutch.
Typical
that
Dutch.
That was the comment they kept making. But we had a homemade apple pie for dessert.
Ooh.
Oh man,
Oh,
that was good stuff.
Oh.
And then
Wonderful.
it was a great weekend overall.
It was.
It's been a great past couple weeks. We finally feel like completely comfortable, and like we've made comments when we come home from Amsterdam and Enschede,
we don't know.
that we finally we feel like we're coming home to Utrecht. I guess that's it for this week.
Absolutely.
As Eric said to the cashier,
What did I say?
Goedenavond
Couldn't have all.
when we were leaving, which means good evening.
Whatever.
We're learning.
What's goodbye? Day? Day?
I don't know. Goodbye.
Die?
We'll have to get to that next week.
We're getting really good at Dutch though.
Yeah, we are good. We can read the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. All right, miss you all.
Very much.
Yeah.
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 See you soon.